Hey YouTube, this is Southern Prepper 1, and this question was sent to me. I'll read it to you. It seems you've been in the prepping game for a while. I've become very serious about it since the beginning of 2020. For me, something just didn't feel right about the direction of all kinds of things. I've done minor prepping in the past because I lived in a hurricane-prone area. Now I live in Alabama and have started to prepare for the worst. There are many prepping channels out there, but most are playing the panic game. Would you please do a video on the difference that you see now versus what you've seen in the past? Also be helpful if you would discuss how your attitude has changed on prepping in the current environment. So, a good question. My main concerns in prepping was always financial, was probably top one. Financial collapse of our system. Second, it would probably been an EMP, electromagnetic pulse attack against the United States. Would set it back to probably 1860. Thirdly, I would have to say a nuclear war, limited exchange, maybe a terrorist setting off a nuclear bomb. But my top choice was always financial, as I could see that our policies were definitely not leaning to a sound fiscal policy. We were spending money that we didn't have. We were indebting our children and our grandchildren. And you can clearly see that's the story now. You know, I'm still preparing for that totally. I've changed it a little bit because I'm preparing also for a government that is out of control, a government that does not value individual liberties, that does not value our Constitution anymore, a government that has become basically tyrannical. So I'm definitely preparing for that. And that can be backed up by a lot of legislation that has passed, a lot of statements from officials in the government. And you just watch the news. Freedom is dying. Also, right now there's a big push to get us off of the current Federal Reserve note and put us on more of a digital note. That would be more control for them, less control for us. So I'm preparing for that. My main concern now is to prepare to be self-sufficient. I can't do that by myself, so it's more important now to develop a group of like-minded individuals in a close proximity where we can have an alternative economy, in the sense of we figure out what everyone can master, and you master that, and then you'll have some goods and services that you can trade. So if there is no dollar, be it because of a collapse, or be it because I don't want to be part of a system, or maybe I can't be part of the system because I don't have certain things, or I've not said or done certain things, so I can't be part of the system. So there needs to be a system to operate in. So now that has become top priority for me. You know, not worried about the Russians landing as much as I might need to have a group of people of like mind to sustain myself. So the best thing for me to do right now is to prep at the highest level possible. Try to get lots of supplies, but eventually those supplies run out. Eventually you're going to run out of toothpaste. Eventually you're going to run out of sugar. You're going to run out of tea. So what's the alternative to all those products? And that's what needs to be developed on a local level. If you're in a suburban area, it's almost impossible to do this. I'm just sorry to say. You could survive the initial collapse if you can stay safe and you have a big pantry. Yes, that's not going to be a problem. But are you going to be able to be part of an alternative economy where there's no resources? You'll be looking for everything. Even water will be a big concern if you're in the suburbs or in the city. In the country, it's easier. So it's easier for me to prepare for an alternate economy than someone in the city. Now, doesn't mean you can't do it, for sure, because there'll be a lot of people that would like your services. Maybe you provide a service. Maybe you're in some type of healthcare or dentist. If you can't go to the dentist because you're not approved to go to the dentist, there'll probably be some dentists out there that are not on the approved list to give services because they're not following the program. So that's my concern now on alternative economy. It's easier now to try to convince people to prep than 5 years ago. They can look at the news, they can look at the economics, they can go to the grocery store and see massive holes in displays. They can see, hey, there's no product A, B, or C, I have to settle for D. Or the cost of everything is just so high, they have to make cutbacks in their lives. Hopefully, they can take this information and say, you know what, I need to prepare for worse times. Times are bad right now, but it's not even close to what they could be. I'm also looking at it a little different now, as I'm looking at it as multi-generational. So what can I do now, or put back now, to help my children, and more importantly, my grandchildren? Is there things I can buy, be it tool-wise, to have here to make their life easier? There's an opportunity to still prepare, but 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I could buy bulk grains, bulk beans, oatmeal at a fraction of the cost now. So it was easy to prepare. Nowadays, if you're just jumping on board, the cost of everything is outrageous. So it's harder for you to prepare now, but you still need to prepare. But really, to be honest with you, you have to sit down and have an honest discussion of what you want to survive, what you want to prepare for. And then you have to take in your environment, where you live. So you could say, I want to survive the end of the world as an economic total collapse. But if you're in a position, let's just hypothetically, you're in an apartment in the city, it's going to be hard for you to survive that if you lose your job. You won't have the resources available. We can look at just the crime. If you're in a high population area, you have a better chance to be a victim of crime because there's more people around you. Now, not to say people out in the country, who a lot of places will be isolated, they could be very, very seriously affected because if there's no law enforcement and you're miles and miles in the boondocks and you don't have a good neighborhood network to watch out for you and your property, your crime that can be committed to you could be catastrophic because they can basically steal everything you have, kill you, and you have no one to rely on to come to help you. Now, you could say that in a city because I've seen videos of people being attacked viciously, violently, and there's 10 people videotaping them, and no one calls the police. I think the attitude of people preparing, I think prepping is a little bit more accepted now. Some people are preparing, but they don't call themselves preppers. I think because some of them made fun of preppers in the past, so they don't want to have that label attached to them. But they are prepping, they're buying more, they're stocking more. And that's because they're anxious. They're very, very scared of the future, and rightfully so. A lot of Americans do not feel secure. Probably in their job, paying the bills because of the inflation rate. I am so glad I started a long time ago because it's put me in a position to be better prepared, and also it gives me the available time to help others because I'm not doing a lot of things that I've already done. Now, I am behind in my head, and rightfully so, because there's projects here that aren't done. I just don't have time to do them. So my goal now is to buy the supplies I need to do those projects. So if something terrible happens, you can't go to the bank, you can't go to the Lowe's, you can't go to any store, at least I have what I think is going to be enough supplies to get that project done. The sad thing is, anytime you do a major project, or even a minor project, you think you have all the stuff, and you start it, and then you realize, oh my goodness, that part is not going to work. I got to run back to Lowe's. So that's my biggest fear. By doing it this way, I might need something I don't have. My philosophy goes back to my hardware store, to stock as much as I can. Now, I don't run out and buy everything full price. Don't do that. I go to auctions where I can pick up things for pennies on the dollar. And that's part of my future plan of being self-sufficient. One of my tradable skills or tradable items will be hardware. Be screws, nuts, bolts, washers, rope, string, all kinds of pest control. A lot of people have to decide where you want to prep. Some prep say, I'm going to have 3 months of food. And that's great. You know, I'm not here to convince you to prep longer than that. Because first of all, I don't have time to convince you. I don't want to convince you. I give you some facts. I give you some figures. I can't worry about you. And a lot of people are trying to get a lot of people woken up. But I think sometimes it's to their detriment because they're spending more time talking about politics or about things they can't control than taking care of themselves first. First thing you do when the airplane says, hey, put your oxygen mask on, is what? You put your oxygen mask on. Don't help anybody, get your oxygen mask on. When the ship is starting to sink, what's the first thing you do? You put your life jacket on, then you help someone else put their life jacket on. So, if you're trying to wake up all your neighbors and all these people in your lives, do your best, but you can't wake them up. You can throw some facts out there, you can throw some ideas out there. They have to wake themselves up. So don't waste your time trying to wake up the world. It is not going to happen. Get your lifeboat built. And right now it's 20 times harder to build your lifeboat than it was 5 years ago. I hope this answered the question. I don't know if I even answered the question. But just keep prepping. An honest evaluation of where you are. Don't sugarcoat it in your head. If you're not in an area where you think you could survive, admit it to yourself and fix it, either by stocking more, changing your security posture, moving, making bigger groups or bigger allies so you can survive what's coming, but be honest. Thanks for watching.